Hey, I'm just going to walk you through how to qualify your leads more programmatically. We're going to do this in a Google Sheet, you can kind of understand how it works. But once you see the principles, you'll be able to apply it really, wherever you need to set it up. Cool. So this is a typical, spreadsheet you might get from sales, output from the CRM, based on a lead generation campaign. So if you look, we've been producing these ebooks and e-guides and webinars and different events, and they're driving leads. And some of those leads are qualified and some aren't. So what we have is a few different lead statuses. One is a new lead, which means it hasn't been seen yet. It hasn't been looked at by sales. Not accepted means it's been looked at by sales and it's not a good fit. So this is usually an override, meaning it doesn't matter how qualified the lead looks. We can't count it as a qualified lead if sales have said no. Although sometimes if you see that they're being misqualified, you can go back over it. And then there's some situations where sales have already looked at the lead, maybe they've already had a call, and it says there's an opportunity. Opportunity is when sales accepts the lead and they're following up with the proposal. They've had a call. Cool. So we basically what we want to do is we know that not all of these leads are qualified, and we need to figure out what our cost per qualified lead was. In order to do that, we need to qualify these leads. And you don't want to be doing what the sales team is doing, right? And going through each one of these manually, like looking up the company, looking up the job title, etc. So you just need some more programmatic way of figuring it out. Cool. So the way that I find is useful is, first there's going to be specific countries which are more likely to create good quality leads than others. So I'm just going to say country, and then I'm going to do data cleanup, and then going to remove duplicates. So I just copied and pasted the countries, and then now I have a list of all the countries. And then I'm just going to put a score here. So for United States of America, I'm going to put 10, one of the richest countries in the world. Much more likely to be high quality. And then we have, Sweden, Luxembourg, also, pretty rich. Let's say, let's just make Europe 8, or like Western Europe 8. Netherlands, keeping France, Philippines, I'm going to say 3. It's a lower income country. Malaysia, and you could actually so Singapore is much more like Norway, right? In terms of demographics. So you're going to be able to derive these numbers properly by looking at your past data and seeing, leads from Belgium are pretty good, leads from, other countries are not as good, but the main point is really that some countries will provide more qualified leads than others, and you kind of want to weight the score. But you don't want to completely dismiss a lead from the Philippines because, say for example, they're actually a senior VP or something, right? Maybe they're actually qualified. Cool. So country is just one score, and then we also have number of employees, and that one's a little bit easier, I guess, because this is B2B, company, and if they have a good number of employees, that's going to be really influential, right? So I'm going to put the score there. So this, if it's a really big company, 10,000 people plus, then I'm going to give that a score of 20. Because I think that's really important, much more important than the country. And then if it's 5,000, let's give it a 10, and then this is a 5. And then if it's missing, just don't give any score. And then actually, let's make these no score as well. Unknown. Actually, yeah, let's just make these 5 because we just assume that they're average. If it's a 1 employee or 10 employees, we know that they're not going to turn into customers. They're a lot less likely to turn into customers. Cool. So again, these scores, I'm just making them up, but you would use historical data. You would say like, maybe companies that have 10,000 employees are twice as likely to become valuable customers than companies that have 5,000 employees. And then we're going to do it based on one more thing, which is job role. So let's grab all the job roles. Okay. Right. And then just paste that here. And again, when I'm doing this, I'm just Control Shift down or Command Shift down to grab the whole column, and then Control Shift V to paste without formatting. Cool. So I'm just going to remove duplicates here. Okay, so it looks like we have two different job roles and a blank job role. Just put the scores. So let's give this a 5 again. And then managerial role is going to be a 10. I'm just going to put 5 for none of the above. Operational role is a 1 because that's not good for us. And they need to be in a managerial role to be the right type of client for us. Budget oversight, let's give them a 7, right? Because they have some influence. And then strategic decision maker, let's give that a 20. So they're the big honcho, right? Cool. So you could keep going with this. Like you could do it based on job title or whatever it is. But I think this is going to be enough to demonstrate for us. Cool. So now we just need to put together a lead score. And then what we're going to do is the lookup. We're going to look up the country first. And then that, you're going to press F4 to grab that group so then it doesn't change as we move down. I'm going to return the second thing here. And then put 0 at the end to make it not a fuzzy match. Cool. So let's say, okay, let's actually make a different thing for each. So this is country score. This just makes it cleaner. And then we're going to do the same thing here, but this is going to be employees score. And here, instead of looking at this, I'm going to look at this table, right? And remember to press F4, or you can put the $ in yourself. And here we're looking at the number of employees, which is this field here. And the rest is fine. Cool. And then just gonna paste it down here. We've got some NAs, so did not find value blank. So I found this is an issue. Sometimes you just wrap it in an if error. That's if you don't find the lookup, then then it's just going to return blank. In this case, we gave a value of 5 if there's an error. So let's try that. Yeah, there we go. It's filled it in with a 5. Cool. There we go. All right, employee score, and then one more, which is the job role score. Cool. So if you look up again, and then the job role, I'll look it up over here. F4. It's the second column we want, and we don't want a fuzzy match. Okay, here we go. So that looks like it's good. All right, cool. So now we can do the total lead score. Right, and that is that. 'That. 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 ' Okay, and let's just see. Just gonna press Control A, and then what's the best way to look at this? Let's do. Actually, let me just do some sort of chart. So, not a pie chart. Columns. Cool. So this isn't like particularly easy to see. Yeah, let's do that. Then we can sort this. So let's create a filter and then sort by lead score. Cool. All right, here we go. So this is more useful visualization. All right, cool. So it looks like, most of our leads, around this 38 lead score, which is pretty good. Right. So that's these guys, right? Like, they come through here, like a VP of growth is in there, VP of finance. So that's interesting. Cool. So we have a lot of 38s, and then we have like kind of lower amounts down here, and we have a bunch kind of in the lower bracket. So it really depends. And again, you kind of have to set this as a negotiation with sales. But let's say that the cutoff is 20, right? So anything below a 20 is going to be not qualified. So let's make another column. And this is going to, get rid of the worst offenders, right? But then, but then it's going to it's going to make sure that we at least looking at some of the leads that have potential, right? So if that is, more than 20, then it's an MQL. Cool. So there we go. Now we have false and true. Cool. So this is how I do it. The benefit of doing it programmatically this way is that it saves you a lot of time, because now you have this spreadsheet. You can literally just paste in more leads and then it'll update. You could also just write some code. You could give this to a developer to automate, so it could actually push straight into HubSpot or whatever CRM you're using, just as soon as they fill in the form. That's great. That's like an ideal situation. Then you don't even have to do the spreadsheet. The other reason is that you can't wait for sales to say what leads are qualified. You have to optimize. And, we've seen here that, of our leads, like of all of our leads, we've got 77 that are qualified and 107 leads total. So, our MQL rate is 27 times 107. So 71% cost per qualified. 71% of our leads are qualified. So it's pretty high. But that's not always going to be the case. And when you're optimizing your campaigns, you can kind of keep an eye on this figure and say, are we getting high quality leads? Are there some, types of, campaign that are getting low quality leads? So if you do a pivot table, you can see that. So I'm just going to put here like the campaign, and then I'm just going to bring in values like MQL, and then just going to do a count of created at. Cool. So count of MQL, and this one is just going to be sum. No. You know what? Here we go. Let's make this. If that is true, then it's going to be 1. Otherwise, it's going to be a 0. Okay, so now that's going to be a number. Then that's a lot easier. Okay, so here we go. So now we have the MQLs. So we could make a custom formula here in the pivot table, or just for speed, I'm doing it here like this. So we can see that our qualification rate, I'm just going to do conditional formatting so you can see this. Our qualification rate here is, here we go. It's much higher for some channels than others, like for some campaigns than others. So we'd want to look into that. For some of the campaigns we're targeting different countries might have higher rates than others. So this is really, really key to doing any type of analysis. And doing it programmatically means that there's no arguments. It doesn't really matter what sales says. If you've agreed on the criteria, then you know what to optimize to. You don't have to wait for them to come back. Where you do see conflicts, maybe if we can filter down here. So if I go data and then I create the filter, let me filter to anyone that I think is qualified, but they think is not qualified. Right. So now you can dig into these and say, hey, why did you disqualify this guy? He's a VP of marketing and this one's a VP of finance. And they're saying lead fit, right? I need more information, right? And you can maybe win some of these back and say, hey, do we get the qualification criteria wrong, or were we too hasty to reject this one? Or maybe there's an additional criteria that we can add, something else in the form that we can ask. Cool. Okay, so hopefully you understand that, and you get the concept. It's incredibly useful. It really just depends on how complex or how easy you want to go with the filtering requirements, but I would start simple and just kind of build on from there.